Today I'm going to tell you the story of a great dabbler, the only man who could say that he was in a real sense universal. Some people have jokingly suggested that Leonardo da Vinci, he's the one, was surely one of my ancestors. Well, in all modesty, I won't comment. Still, when I contemplate his last statue, I wonder. Here we are in Italy at the end of the 15th century, the Quattrocento, as they called it. Italy was a group of little states, the most brilliant, Florence, governed by Lorenzo da Medici, Lorenzo the Magnificent. And he saw art and science as a means to power, and he protected artists. The invention of gunpowder and cannons had made fortified castles obsolete. They were turned into country residences. Gutenberg had printed his first book, and Columbus would soon discover America. Artists are pampered except for Leonardo da Vinci, the greatest. He will leave ungrateful Florence for Milan, where he will be under the protection of the city master, Ludovic Sforza, called the Moor.
And I insist, Uncle, that my 12th birthday celebrations are the biggest ever seen in Milan.
Gian Gagliazzo, my dear nephew. You know I never refuse you anything. Now go.
I'd say the young man is showing a bit of arrogance.
That's 'cause he's really the Duke. Enough!
My poor arrogant nephew, he may not live long.
And his advisor wouldn't be around long either.
Really, Ludovic, everybody knows you're in charge. You do with the kid what you like.
Still, in such a situation... Yes?
Lord, Signor Leonardo da Vinci requests an audience.
Ah, that nut. The mad one. Send him away.
Yeah, send him away. I've a protege who'd do much better.
But Lorenzo da Medici says that his knowledge of art is beyond questioning, Ludovic.
As you say. But this Da Vinci, he says, just listen to what he's written. Most illustrious signore. Yeah? Oh, yes, listen. I have projects for bridges that are sturdy and light, easy to transport. And for the siege of a stronghold. I know how to design and build bridges, battering rams, ladders for scaling walls, etc., etc. I have plans for mortars that can rain down stones like a hailstorm. I have shoes that can walk on water, diving suits for moving underwater.
Clearly he's crazy, that's all.
I can build tanks that will destroy an enemy army and sustain no damage.
He's crazy. He's crazy as a bedbug.
He can deliver large catapults and machines of war. He's a good architect. He's a musician and a sculptor. And a painter.
He's crazy. He's crazy.
I'll tell you what it all adds up to. In 36 fields, he's a genius. No, he's a madman.
A crazy madman, I'd call him. Whereas my young protege,
With artists, well, you never can tell. What can you lose if you do see this genius a quarter of an hour? On the other hand, you might make your house the equal of the Medici, the Ferraris, the Viscontis.
Yes, who knows? It could be amusing to meet this genius. Go and get him.
Blah.
And you see, my lord, in the case of attack, a horseman with this device has 3 times his offensive power. And consider this ballista. It will have a greater firepower than ever seen, and its sloped wheels here give it excellent stability.
You mentioned that you also paint and sculpt.
I believe that I can paint about as well as any man living. Here's a painting I did some years back. I was just a beginner then. And portraits, oh yes, I can do them. Here's one of Ginevra Benci. Not awfully good, I'm afraid, but there are good things in it. The chiaroscuro, the landscape. Naturally, I'm working on other pictures, nothing very important. Here's what I'm doing now. As you see, it's not finished yet. But if you're interested, here's a sketch showing the placement of the people in it. And here is its study of perspective.
Tell me, Signore da Vinci, how did you acquire all these talents?
Oh, it's a long story, my lord, and I wouldn't want to bore you. Well, as a child, I guess I was interested in everything. One day, my father was asked to decorate a round wood shield.
Oh. It's incredible!
When I was 15, my father took me to Florence, and I was taken as an apprentice in the workshop of a great artist.
Verrocchio was so overwhelmed by the talent of his young apprentice, he never painted again.
Oh, my lady, you are truly ravishing. Yes. Oh, what's he after, that one? What's he want? And this consiglio maggiore you've added to our constitution. Really marvelous, Lorenzo, quite perfection.
Yes, only those of noble blood, sons of wealthy merchants as I am, can bring things to perfection. Leonardo, that painting I ordered.
I'm working on it, my lord. I'm working on it. But there are 2 or 3 problems in composition that I haven't solved.
That one, he never has finished anything.
Then came the attempt on the lives of the Medici brothers, Julian's death, and Lorenzo's pitiless oppression. At about that time, we worked on a very beautiful equestrian statue with my beloved master, Verrocchio.
Verrocchio? Who did the statue of Corleone?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you tell me that he was your master? He's the one for my cavallo.
He is in Venice, my lord, and very busy with his work. But I can take charge of making the equestrian statue in bronze to celebrate the eternal glory of your honored father.
Very well, do it then. As part of your duties, you will organize my festivities and live in the palace.
It's you, my lord, who should occupy the throne.
children, that's how Leonardo spent most of his time at the Sforza Palace. It was his job to organize Ludovic's festivities.
But he must have worked on more serious things, too, didn't he?
Oh, yes, of course. Many other things. Most of all, the grandiose Project Cavallo. Oh, the Cavallo. That equestrian statue, he'd work on it for 16 years.
Since my several requests still have not been answered, and since I have to earn my living, with deep regret, I am obliged to stop work on the project entrusted to me by your lordship. Well, so be it. I'll go and find other work. Yes, the perspective isn't bad, but as for the rest, I'll do it over.
Leonardo, I have urgent work for you to do. I promised Cecilia Gallerani that you would paint her portrait. A beautiful model, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
The plague! Milan has been struck by the plague.
There are hundreds, even thousands dead.
Tens of thousands are dying, maybe half the population of the city. We might have foreseen this with such a dirty city. Poor people living in squalid conditions. See here, it's a project for a new city. There will be 10 cities of 30,000 people, wide streets, water running in these drains. We'll remove garbage. We might even construct streets on 2 levels. One for pedestrians, the other for traffic. Here's how we'll do the statue. Look at this. It's rather attractive, wouldn't you say? Now then, I'll write a treatise on the horse and on the art of casting bronze. In that way, you'll understand it all. But money's what I need now. For over 2 years, my lord, I haven't been paid. All right, if you don't like it, I'll do something else.
Architecture, anatomy, the art of warfare, mechanics, engineering, space technology, geometry, musical instruments even. Oh, yes, clockmaking and machine tools, war machines, who knows what else. Oh, yes, a little painting on the side.
Yes, I know, it's not yet finished, but what can you expect? There are so many things to learn, to know.
Leonardo had just adopted Salaino, the little devil. In no time, the boy was to live up to his name.
Now, Leonardo, you're to go to Pavia and work on the city's fortifications. And you'd better see if there's anything you can do about the cathedral dome.
Fascinated by the rich library there, and by Giovanni da Dondi's superb clock, Leonardo was soon to forget all about doing his work.
Signor da Vinci, the Duke's getting married. He'll need you in Milan to organize everything.
Here we are in 1492. Christopher Columbus discovers America, and Savonarola triumphs in Florence. Florence has changed since Leonardo's time. It's not the Florence of the Medici anymore.
You women, you affront God with your low necklines and your finery, and your clothes are indecent. But you should know the sword of God hangs suspended over your heads for the sins of the Italian church they committed. Your fathers, your mothers have sinned. Your children blaspheme.
That's how he talked to them?
Oh, yes, and even worse. Before long, servants were spying on their masters, and children spied on their own parents.
And would these horrors go on for long?
For a few long years, yes, until the Pope Alexander VI, revolted by Savonarola's excesses, excommunicated him. This Pope happens to be a Borgia and the father of a whole gang of children, and not exactly a model of virtue. All the same, he is the Pope. From then on, things happen very quickly. The preacher who called himself a prophet has to undergo the test of fire.
And the equestrian statue, the cavallo, and all this, what was done to it?
No, that's a good question. They worked on it, but, well, let's go back a bit.
Well, you don't like it? You want more nobility, bigger? In that case, I can no longer do it. A question of balance, but I can do this. Yes? Very well, I'll make you a model. You'll see, you'll see.
Overnight, Leonardo da Vinci's fame spread far and wide.
There, the casting pit, surrounded by 4 ovens, and these are the bronze molds.
Interesting, interesting. And how much bronze will it take?
Well, around 80 tons.
You shall have them. My word on it. It will be majestic.
I have to speak to you, sir. It's urgent. And confidential. Now, my spies in Naples tell me that your nephew, Gian Galeazzo, the Duke, is plotting against you. And the King of Naples is prepared to come and assume the throne of Milan.
I'll tell you what we'll do. First, send a messenger to the King of France, reminding him of his claim to Naples. It should calm down the hot head. Come here. And then...
In 1494, the young Duke of Milan is to die, and nobody is sure of what.
Ah, there they are.
Salai, would you come here, please? Salai, what have you done with my drawings for the bicycle? They're nowhere. I want those drawings right now. Again, you've taken them. Did you do that?
We'll have to wait another 3 centuries for anything resembling a bicycle to roll around our streets, of course.
Ah, Leonardo, I've just been informed your bronze for the cavallo is in.
Leonardo, your bronze for the cavallo. Unfortunately, Ludovico had to, well, he sent it to his brother-in-law, D'Este, to cast cannons. I'm very sorry.
So we sharpened 400 needles 100 times per hour. That's, let's see, 480,000 needles in 12 hours. At 5 sal per thousand, that makes 60,000 ducats per year. That's a very great deal.
Oh!
Ah, Leonardo, some good news. Ludovic has some work for you. You're to do a painting, The Last Supper.
And you add a little grass, egg white, and a few flowers. Ah, the reds! Something's missing, some white cheese, some tar.
Good work, Leonardo, but the prior of the church is complaining. He tells me the work is going too slowly.
You tell him, my lord, I still have difficulties finding a model for Judas, but if he likes, I will use his face. Yes, I just might have to use him.
It's an insult!
Let's go. That's enough sleep. Sleeping is a little like dying. Right, to work! No, won't do.
Ludovico il Moro plotted to bring French troops into Italy, and now they occupy Milan.
Well, what's the point of all that?
Beaten, betrayed by his own people, Ludovico will end his days as a prisoner in France. The 15th century was drawing to a close. It had witnessed Gutenberg's printing press, the taking of Constantinople by the Turks, the victory of Catholic kings, the discovery of America. Leonardo da Vinci leaves Milan. Here he is in Mantua, where Isabella d'Este is charming him into painting her portrait. Venice is under threat from the Turks. Leonardo suggests a way to defeat the enemy army and take over their fleet, and asks for half of the ransom demanded. In Romagna, he will become Cesare Borgia's engineer and architect. And back in Florence, he does some scribbling and paints a masterpiece. Fails with another one. Then he begins the portrait of Signora Giocondo. You recognize it?
It's the Mona Lisa. That's it.
Leonardo will find time to work on new weapons. Oh, yes, and anatomy and flying machines, balancing, vaults, clock-making, machines for war and defense, spinning machines, techniques for changing speeds, lifting jacks, pile drivers, water pumps, winches, and ball bearings, and a whole lot of other things. In the field of botany, he will paint Leda and the Swan and take on an apprentice, the devoted Francesco Melzi. He will also do a self-portrait. In 1516, he accepts an invitation from Francois I of France and leaves with the faithful Melzi and the less faithful Salai. 3 years later, he passes away near Amboise. Freud said of him he was like a man who had awakened too early, while others still slept. Yes.